นะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะพุทธังธัมมังสังฆังนะมัสสามิ Blessings to you all. Nice to see so many people here coming to celebrate this occasion. Could say historic occasion. The first ordinations of Buddhist monks in this monastery, Bodhipala Monastery, here in southern Australia. And as Ajahn Kalyano just mentioned, it's also approaching Asalaha Puja, the full moon day in July, when we remember the first teaching that the Buddha gave, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So it's a very auspicious time to become a Buddhist monk. In the time of the Buddha, the early students of the Buddha, they were so well practiced, already so mindful and wise that the Buddha could see they're ready to practice and become enlightened. So there was very little ceremony or procedure. He would just say, "Come, bhikkhu, practice for the end of suffering." And that was it. That was the early ordination procedure. Simple. Probably our candidates, 9 candidates tomorrow, they prefer that version. Don't have to learn all these long Pali chants. But we have to remember those early monks were well practiced and probably made an aspiration to practice and become enlightened in the time of a Buddha for maybe many, many lifetimes, they say. Perhaps we are more at the beginning of our Dhamma practice, so we have to go through the ordination procedure that the Sangha over the centuries has developed. And we have a quorum of monks, a group of monks will come together, and the candidates come forward and ask permission to join the Sangha. And the Sangha just check their suitability and then make an announcement and accept them into the Sangha. So it's still relatively simple. And it comes from that aspiration, that wish to practice the Dhamma, and recognition maybe that the Buddha, the enlightened Buddha, was a good teacher, a wise, enlightened teacher. You might say the best teacher. And the Dhamma that he taught, it is definitely a path that can lead us out of suffering. And then the belief, the faith that the noble ones who have practiced also became enlightened. And because they became enlightened, then we also can become enlightened. So people, since the time of the Buddha till this day, believing in the truth of the Buddha's enlightenment, and in the Dhamma and the Sangha, have been coming forth over the years to take precepts, enter the Sangha, practice the Dhamma. It's inspiring with so many candidates coming together to ordain at one time, especially the first occasion of this monastery. So it's a good time to reflect on what are the important things when you ordain as a Buddhist monk. And the Buddha gave many different teachings, which no doubt Ajahn Kalyano will give you over the next period of time as well. He'll explain more. But one teaching the Buddha gave is a teaching on the factors for non-decline of the Sangha. We all know about the ups and downs of life as lay people. Sometimes things seem to go well, sometimes our minds are happy. Sometimes we encounter obstacles and our mind sort of seems to get dragged down, pulled down. And sometimes that affects the people around us as well. We have issues with the people we live with, we work with, and so on. So one aspect of the Buddha's teachings is he gave us encouragement and guidelines how to live together as a community of Sangha for success, for non-decline. So for harmony and to provide a good environment, a good place for practicing the Dharma for enlightenment. Because not only do we have to learn how to live with ourselves as a person, we also have to learn how to live peacefully with other people, and particularly the ones that we live closely with. And in a monastery, you live with sometimes many other people and see them every day, interact with them every day. So it's important to have some good guidelines. So one of these groups of Dhammas, the Aparihaniya Dhammas, the Dhammas for non-decline. And if I remember right, that sutta came about when the Buddha was staying in the Jetavana monastery, that very peaceful monastery in India where he lived for many, many years during his lifetime. They say it's the place he stayed longest of all the monasteries and places of practice. It's the one that he spent most time. And obviously did a lot of teaching there, and many of the suttas and information we have about the Buddha's life and his teachings come from his time at that monastery. You can still go there today and see the remains of the monastery, and many inspiring teachings were given there. Many monks were enlightened there that we know of today. Lay people as well. Many lay people lived and practiced or associated with the Buddha when he was at that monastery too. And they say over the years, because it was such a good place, suitable place for practice, there's a very good energy there, and not only human beings would come and practice with the Buddha there and learn the Dhamma, but also devas. It's a very suitable place where the Buddha was living. Devas would come in the evening. They say in the daytime the Buddha would teach the laity from the local villages and towns would come to see him. In the evening he would teach the monks, and then at nighttime, the depths of the nighttime, he would teach the devas. The deities like to come down when everything's quiet, the world is quiet, and they come and they would come and pay respects to the Buddha and sometimes request teachings, or sometimes they would receive teachings in a way they would just make a statement and see if the Buddha corrected them or pointed out where they were wrong in their thinking, or by his silence or his approval, their statement would be considered correct and something that was in line with what the Buddha said. And so this Aparihaniya Sutta, they say, came about like that, with the Deva coming to the Buddha, they call them a radiant being, because they come with their radiant aura, the accumulated good karma they've made, gives them a radiant aura, and they come to the Buddha, where the Buddha is seated, maybe at his kuti, and they come and stand to one side, and at the right moment, the appropriate moment, they, having shown respect, they speak. And on this occasion, the Deva stated 6 different dhammas or qualities that are for the non-decline of individual practitioners as well, but also for the Sangha. So that the Sangha, if they follow these 6 guidelines, they will prosper, flourish, and the Sangha will remain a good place, good group of people for practicing the Dhamma for enlightenment. So the first of these 6 Dhammas or 6 qualities is reverence for the Buddha, respect, reverence for the Buddha. Because if you have reverence for the Buddha, you really have some strong faith, confidence that the Buddha is an enlightened being, knows the way out of suffering, what he says is true, what he teaches is true, and the ways of practice that he gave us worked for him, and then he's giving them to us out of compassion and wisdom. Well, then you get this sense that the Buddha as a being is somebody genuinely wise, peaceful, compassionate. And so we say we take refuge in the Buddha, and the very beginning of an ordination ceremony, you take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. And this gives you this sense of valuing the Buddha and his enlightenment. Then you can remember the Buddha. And as we know, we practice that as a meditation, Buddhanusati, recollecting the qualities of the Buddha. Sometimes just in reciting verses, we're recollecting the Buddha. Sometimes just one single word, like Buddha. Keeping your mind with the Buddha, respecting the Buddha, having reverence for the Buddha. One recites Buddha, 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 over and over again. And of course, when you practice a meditation like the recitation of Buddha or Buddhanusati, whether you're walking or sitting, at first it can be difficult because your mind runs away from Buddha to all over the place. And we say you have to find Buddha when you meditate. You have to bring your mind to the Buddha to find Buddha. Meaning you have to learn how to let go of other things, your worries, your concerns about everything else. But when your mind comes to Buddha, then it's coming to the Buddha, remembering the Buddha. And this can cut through a lot of your worries, your stress, your problems, which are always filling the mind. So having reverence for the Buddha, respect for the Buddha, is not just a passing thought. It's actually a meditation you can use to help you. And the Buddha says it's particularly good to remember the Buddha or recollect the Buddha when you're worried about something or you're afraid. So it will help bring your mind back to the present moment when your mind wants to get lost in the fear, the endless thinking and worrying. So some monks, they go out into the forest where they're afraid there may be tigers, bears, elephants and snakes or ghosts, or worried that they'll catch disease or they'll have some difficulty. And their friends, before they go, they say, well, what are you going to do? You're going into this lonely place. What have you got to protect you and help you? And many monks will say, well, I have Buddha, my recollection of the Buddha. And that's enough. When you get the confidence of remembering the Buddha, your mind feels better. Literally, you feel better, warmer, happier, your mind becomes more stable, especially if you're in a state of worry, anxiety, fear. Or it could be something more closer to home, like you have some health problem, you have to have an operation or procedure, or you have any kind of difficulty, challenge in life. Then if you recite Buddha and remember the Buddha, you feel better straight away. And the same with Dhamma, Dhammanusati, recollecting the Dhamma, whether you just recite Dhammo, or you recollect a verse of Dhamma, a particular teaching that you find helpful. Bringing up that respect and reverence for the Dhamma will always give your mind like a reference point. You're bringing your mind back to the truth taught by the Buddha, or pointed out by the Buddha, the truth that liberates us from suffering. On the
night of Asalaha Puja, we chant the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and that's an explanation of the Four Noble Truths. When you bring your mind to recollect and respect the Dhamma, you're recollecting the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha taught us the way out of suffering, which has to be practiced. He pointed out what suffering is, what its cause is, and then the way of practice that leads to the end of suffering. So recollecting the Dhamma and respecting the Dhamma means you're giving value to these teachings and the path of practice. And you have to do that. You have to bring up that recollection and give some value and importance to the Dhamma so that you're willing to put effort into your practice and commit to it, take it on. So like say if you become a Buddhist monk, that takes effort. You have to set aside your other business, leave home, put up with some of the simplicity, discomfort maybe of the monk's life. Part of that is because you respect the Dhamma, you see it as something valuable. And we respect the Sangha, the third factor for non-decline. As long as you respect the Sangha, and that's particularly the Arya Sangha, the noble ones, those who have practiced, become enlightened, and then the way of practice that they followed. If we respect the Sangha, and particularly the noble ones, then that opens your mind up to receive teachings, to learn the Dhamma, because you're respecting those who have practiced before and that you value what they've done, the good example they've set, the qualities that they embody. And so when we meet, particularly when we meet more senior monks who have practiced maybe for many years and become wise, compassionate teachers, peaceful men, and nuns as well, then we're appreciating the good qualities that they embody and the example they give. And if you incline your mind to respect or have reverence for them, then it's easier to turn your attention back to your own mind and aspire to bring up the same qualities in your own mind. So these three factors, reverence for the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, bring a certain common purpose to all of us. Say here, we all have respect for the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. We are following the path that the Buddha taught, sila, samadhi, panya, cultivating the same kind of qualities, doing the same things. Even though we're all different people, different backgrounds, different personalities, we have these certain things in common. And that brings us together and leads to progress for all of us. The next quality is the reverence for the study and practice of Dhamma itself, for the actual way of practice, the ways of practice. That includes the Vinaya training, the monk's discipline, the rules that you take on when you become a monk. And that includes people practicing the 8 precepts when they stay in a monastery, or novice monks, 10 precepts. Everyone practicing in a monastery, even if you visit a monastery for a day, you'll pick up there are certain practices we take on, ways of doing things. You need to have a respect for that in order for it to be valuable to you and then for you to learn and progress. If everyone practices the way of study and practice, we respect the Dhamma, the teachings say in the Tripitaka, the books, the texts. We respect the Dhamma that we receive, the teachings we receive from others, and then in the long run, we respect the Dhamma that we study ourselves through our own practice, our own experience, and learn and find out. If we all respect the Dhamma, then again we have a common purpose, and we can progress, we can learn, we can progress and find a way out of suffering. The next factor for non-decline is respect or reverence for heedfulness, appamada.
Because in order to practice the Dhamma, you have to cultivate this quality, heedfulness, to be heedful. Sometimes it's equated with mindfulness. We hear a lot about mindfulness, sati. But it's a bit broader than that. The term heedfulness really covers every aspect of the training. Training the mind in sila, samadhi, panya, overcoming the defilements. You have to be heedful and alert and aware and responsible for your training, your practice. And we know what it's like to be heedless, because we've probably all noticed that in our own life. When we've had not much discipline, sometimes we get lazy or greedy or angry or stubborn, or our moods get the better of us sometimes, and we become careless in our life, go in the wrong direction. And most of us know that. Now, though, we're aspiring to develop heedfulness, to be heedful, careful, and to respect that as a quality. Sometimes you see it in other people, sometimes you see it in yourself, and you have to become aware of that and really nurture that quality, to be careful in what you say, what you do, even just what you think. So cultivating hiriyottappa, sense of shame, fear of wrongdoing. If we are cultivating those qualities, then we are learning from what we say and do, even when we make mistakes or do things that cause us some stress. If we're still willing to learn, then it's okay. We're more careful, and we pick up where we are making mistakes, perhaps. And then it's easier for us to live with other people, stay together in the same monastery, work together, meditate together. Because it's natural, sometimes we have differences of opinion. One person likes one thing, one person likes another, one person is like this, one person is like that. We have our different characters and different habits. But if we are respecting heedfulness, it means we don't make a problem out of those differences. We don't create stress and suffering just because one person is a certain way. Where some people work very hard, some people study a lot, some people chant loudly, some people meditate many hours, some people do this, some people do that. We're all different, but we respect the differences because we're heedful and we're careful not to fall into judging others or looking down on others or competing with others and so on. The last quality is the respect for what they call it in Pali, patisantara. In Thai, patisanton means knowing hospitality, how to receive others. So this is partly the training of a monk in the monastery. You learn how to receive people, both sangha and lay people, visitors, residents. It's part of our practice, again, for non-decline, for harmony and good relations in the sangha, and for growth of the sangha and people's individual practice. We have to know how to respect each other, receive each other, look after each other as we meet. Sometimes it's monks coming from other monasteries, we have to take care of them. Sometimes lay people, when they come into the monastery, we take care of them. This is part of our practice, hospitality and receiving visitors. And we have to learn that. So you see, it's part of the way Ajahn Chah trained. He trained us to respect senior monks. We receive them. Usually we give them a lot of attention and time. We look after them. But even junior monks or visiting monks, we still look after them. It's part of our monastic training and practice. We look after each other, we look after the place, we look after the people. On a deeper level, there's an even deeper kind of hospitality, how we receive the impressions we get through our senses. So normally you think of hospitality as receiving a visitor to the monastery. And that is true, that's the most important. But as you practice meditation and mindfulness, you become more aware of your senses And we call our senses doorways. So the eyes are a doorway, the ears are a doorway, the nose, the tongue, the skin, and the mind itself. We have 6 doorways. And what are doorways for? Well, for visitors to come in. So you have to act as the doorkeeper, the one looking after these 6 doorways and dealing with the visitors you get. And you have to maintain this right hospitality for the visitors that come. And that doesn't mean to say judging who's good and bad, but you know that. Developing mindfulness and awareness, knowing what you're seeing, what you're hearing, tasting. But really it's, when we say respecting or practicing hospitality with your sense doorways, it's maintaining the quality of mindfulness and equanimity. So knowing both the good, the pleasant, the beautiful that you see, for example, and also the ugly, the unpleasant that you may see, or taste, or hear, or smell, and so on. But giving importance to the sense contact, giving attention to the contact you have through your senses, and even in your mind, what you think about and what you let your mind dwell on. Giving importance to that and respect in the sense that everything matters, what you think about, what you look at. And what did the Buddha say? Well, said when you're truly mindful, the seeing is just seeing. You're not getting lost into all the desires, I like this, I don't like that, and all the moods that stirs up. Which is normal for a human being. You normally are going, oh, I like this, don't like that, this is interesting, that's not. I want more of this, I want less of that. To maintain mindfulness and equanimity is giving the most respect to all these visitors that come to our senses. Even when you're on your own, in your room, your kuti, you have different thoughts about the past, the future, this and that. Paying attention to what you're thinking, and that's a form of respect, respecting yourself and respecting those moments when you're thinking of something, and then just maintaining mindfulness and equanimity rather than getting lost into your desires. So on the deepest level, the most profound kind of hospitality is how you receive all the different sense data that comes through your 6 senses. If everyone is practicing that, then you get a sense of restraint. You're not just following your personal desires all the time. I want this, want to eat that, not eat this. I want to see that, not see that. Hear this, not hear that, and so on. You're not just following your desires through your senses, but you're maintaining mindfulness, a sense of restraint, equanimity. And then when you live together, even if it's many people, you can be together peacefully. So the Deva, meeting the Buddha, explained these 6 qualities to be developed for non-decline of the practitioner and for the Sangha. And at the end sort of stood aside waiting to see if the Buddha would say anything, and the Buddha just stayed silent, meaning, yeah, that's correct. What you said is correct. So there's a very well-known teaching, often quoted, for how to live together in a community well, so that everyone prospers, develop a good feeling, harmony between people, mutual respect, care, attention. And we can look after each other, even though we're still working with our own limitations, sometimes we have our own weaknesses, attachments, what we call kilesas, mental defilements. And we accept that, but we have to be working and practicing with them. And if we have these 6 qualities, we can all do well as a Sangha. And if we're all practicing, putting effort into our practice, makes the life easy for the teacher, Ajahn Kalyano. He'll be walking around saying, oh, the monks are doing very well, harmonizing, helping each other. Many good things can come of it. And the lay people who will be bringing you food, supporting you, helping the monastery, they'll be happy to see the monks working together, practicing together in harmony. It's very inspiring. And of course, we know in the world today, we tend to hear the news about disharmony, conflict, all the different kinds of conflict in the world makes up the majority of news, doesn't it? What people talk about, and it influences us and makes us often feel very anxious or unhappy in different ways. So you can make an offering back to the world, practice in harmony, learn how to live together well as human beings, as Sangha. So it's not just for yourself as an individual, you gain that as well, but it's also as a gift for the whole community, the wider community. So on this occasion, we're coming together at the beginning of the rains and ordaining 9 Buddhist monks. Very auspicious, special thing. So I'll give my anumodana to you all. May you all be peaceful and happy and find success in your practice, and may it be a cause for everyone's progress in the Dhamma.
หันธมยังวัจกตาสาธุคารังทัตตมาเสสา